Wester. One evening, the Fat Controller came to speak to the engines in Tidmouth sheds. Gordon has had an accident and has been sent for repairs. James will take over the express until he returns. James tried his best not to look pleased. Barry will help to repair the tracks on the Norway branch line, so I've decided to get another engine in to help out. There's one diesel available. He'll be here tomorrow. The engines didn't like that news. After the controller left to go home, they started to complain. "This diesel is going to be difficult, like the others," said James. "Nothing but trouble," added Henry. "You can't trust him," said Barry. "The last thing this island needs is another troublesome diesel." But the next day, the engines were surprised. The diesel was a large Class 52 painted in BR blue. The diesel rolled into the yard. "Hello everyone, I'm D1023, Western Fusilier, but everyone calls me Wester. It's a pleasure to be on your wonderful island." The engines were amazed. "I've always wanted to come here and meet its famous engines," added Wester. "They are pleased to have your help," said Edward. The engines talked to Wester, except for Barry, who was watching from a siding. "I know what he's up to," he said to himself. "You can't fool me." Wester got straight to work on the main line. He handled the trucks well and was polite towards the other engines. Later, Wester was asked to take a goods train of new rails to the Norway branch line. When he arrived, he found Barry helping the workmen replace the tracks Gordon had damaged. "Here's your new rails." But Barry didn't look happy. "I was coming to pick them up myself. Typical diesel, stealing our jobs." Wester was shocked. "I was asked to bring them here." "Don't in future," Barry said crossly. 121. That's what diesels are responsible for. He then went back to work, leaving Wester very confused. When Wester returned to the yard, he met Edward and told him about Barry. "I know what's wrong," Edward explained. "Lots of steam engines feel that way towards diesels, blaming them for the decisions controllers made." "I don't want anyone to hate me," said Wester. "I never asked for any engines to be scrapped." "I know, and don't worry. I've got an idea," and Edward whispered his plan to Wester. Back on the Norway branch line, a workman went to see Barry. "Our next supply train is ready at Brendam Docks. Go and collect it, please." Barry agreed and puffed away. When he arrived at the docks, he found Wester coupled up to the trucks. "What are you doing?" "I just thought you could use a hand to pull this train," replied Wester. "No, I don't," said Barry crossly. "There's nothing a diesel can do better than a steam engine." "If you say so," said Wester, and he rolled away from the train. Barry quickly coupled up and huffed away. He didn't even look at Wester. Soon Barry was on the main line, but he was approaching Gordon's Hill. He tried his best to get to the top, but his train was too heavy. He had to roll back to the bottom of the hill. "Bother," said Barry. "I'll go and phone for help," said his fireman. While the fireman went to the nearest signal box, Barry heard Edward's whistle. He rolled up alongside him. "Edward, I'm glad to see you. Can you help push me over the hill, please?" "Sorry," replied Edward. "I've got this goods train to take, but Wester's on my branch line. He'll help you." "Why would a diesel help us?" "He's a good diesel. For a withdrawn engine, he's very useful." "What do you mean, withdrawn?" asked Barry. "Didn't you know? Wester is one of the surviving Class 52 diesels. Nearly all of his brothers and sisters were scrapped. Only 7 of them are left. Remind you of anyone?" This left Barry in great fault. Then Edward had to leave with his train. Minutes later, Wester arrived. "Hello, I heard an engine needed some help." But for the first time, Wester didn't see an angry look on Barry's face. "Wester, I owe you an apology," said Barry, looking down at his buffers. "I didn't know you was a withdrawn diesel." "Oh yes, I was saved from scrap too when I was donated to the National Collection. I met many preserved steam engines in my time, and have great respect towards them all." "I shouldn't have blamed you for the scrapping of my 121 brothers and sisters," replied Barry. "Can you help me with this train, please?" "Of course I will," said Wester, and he coupled up in front of Barry. They then worked together to get the heavy train over the hill. They whizzed down the other side. "Thank you," said Barry. The two new friends then started talking to each other for the rest of the journey. They then raced through Marin Station and disappeared into the distance. But what Barry didn't see was that Edward was on a siding in Marin Yards. It seemed that his plan had worked.